Hi all, this is a short video to show you the Asset Expanse Weather Controller version 1.6.7, which is compatible with the latest version of Expanse. And I've developed this on Unity 2022.2.6F1 and also compatible with 2021.3.19F1 and likely all versions in the 2021 range. If you have any issues, obviously, as always, just drop me a line and I'm sure we can sort it out. One of the prerequisites is when you go to the visual effects graphs to the Unity registry and just install the sample package, because I used that for one of the lightning strike effects. I will phase this out in the future, but for now please install this. So that's it. This is a version Unity 2022-6F1 outdoor scene with the standard main camera and directional lights. So I'm just going to delete these. We see we got Expanse installed, and once you've downloaded the package from my website, basically what you do is drag it into the assets folder. There we go. Import. And there we have the folder. So without further ado, we'll go straight to the prefabs. I've got a couple of prefabs here, the normal one, EWC, and Expanse Weather Controller Complete. EWC is if you've already got an existing scene with Expanse integrated, you can try and use this prefab. I'll drag it in and I'll just show you what happens when you do that. So what it does is it requires an interpolable cloud volume, and if it's not in the scene, it will add one automatically. The same for the procedure cloud plane and the same for the texture cloud plane. We also require a player. This can be assigned in the Expanse controller setup. So we just click OK here, and we can see no player assigned. So we would need to assign a player to that. And obviously we haven't got a camera running. I should have really left the camera in there, but there we go. So this is one way we can go. The other, which is a good one probably if you're starting from new, is the Expanse Weather Controller Complete. And basically what this has is it's got a camera in there, and it's also got the base settings and the post-processing volumes. Actually, it's totally up to you which one you want to use. But if we look at this compared to what we done previously, there are a few changes. But instead of just showing that in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the demo scene, which is pretty much set up for most use cases, and it'll also show you exactly what we can do here. So what do we have? We've got no cloud layers enabled at the moment, so what I'll do is I'll just enable the cloud volume layer. We can also enable the procedure cloud layer, and we can enable the texture cloud layer. As you can see, that's the texture, procedural, and we've got the volume. So I'll just leave it on volume now. Here we've got the weather presets, which are here on the left, and the starting preset. So when you start the game, this is the first preset that will be coming up as you enable it. Initial transition, a half a second. Transition speed is the weather transition speed between the between the presets. Then we've got the global wind, and we've got update clouds in editor, so we can actually see what we're doing if we increase the wind speed, for instance. Here we can see the clouds moving. We've got a multiplier here for the volume cloud. If we would enable the procedural cloud, we would get one for that as well, and that goes for the texture cloud as well. But if I, for instance, speed it up a bit, you can see them moving in the editor as well. So I'll just tone this down a little bit again. Then we've got the global audio volume. We can set the audio volume of all the audio effects used in the preset, or we can just do it per preset. We can set the audio volume. So for instance, if we go here, you can see you can set the audio. I'm using a sound prefab. In the past, I've added the sound sources below, but I'm now doing it at runtime, which runs a bit better. And you can assign your sound clip day and night here as well. But back to the main screen. So we've done that. We've got the audio. We've got the enabled debug. But there's a few ways we can see if transitions are completed. So you can enable the debug messages, which will show in the console. Here we've got the configure the season date ranges, so you can set when spring starts and ends, etc. And you can set the temperature in there as well. And then we've got the show season preset. Now a lot of questions have been asked is how do you actually change the weather? So there's two ways. You can either change the weather, for instance, via a drop down, or you can call the function to change the weather with the preset, the integer with the preset you want. Or you can go into the show season presets and you can use, for instance, dynamic weather in spring. If it's springtime in your game, you can set here the presets you would want to use, and then you've got the random weather changes will occur between these time scales. So for instance, you can set this for 10 minutes and 15 minutes. So between 10 and 15 minutes, the weather will start changing and cycles through all the presets available there. So like I said, that's one way of doing it. The other way is you can drop in I'll just open the example here. I've got the UI, the panel, and I've got this drop down here, which is the drop down for the weather change. If you drag in the Expanse weather controller script in here, and then you go to the weather controller here and you set the weather index, this drop down will automatically populate. And you can set that drop down here, so you just drag the drop down from there into here and it will automatically populate once you've assigned the script in there. I'll give you a quick demo on that. So yeah, this is basically how you cycle through the weather presets. The other way to do it is if you go into the docs, and I've got some variables where you can see what you can call, for instance, from your own script. And then if you go to the weather controller, you can see where you've got the weather index. So you can call this from any of your scripts, set the weather index, and the preset index will be the sequence of here. So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah blah blah. And you can always get what the active index is as well. So that's there's three ways of changing the weather quite easily. Then we have some integrations. This is very much experimental. I'm going to touch on that in a separate video. Then we've got the weather API, so we can do some dynamic weather. So you sign up with the OWM. It's for free. You can get a key, and this is all set up. You can drag your codes in for different weather at any location in the world, basically. Again, I've done a video on that before, and this hasn't changed much. So yeah, it's worthwhile having a look at that video on my YouTube channel. And then the other thing is we've got the weather events. Now I've got I've added one of the on lighting in progress. When you're in a storm, I've got a lightning setup assigned here. So if I, for instance, would play this, I think my audio is a little bit loud. I'm not sure how it's coming through the video, but I'll check that later on. So yeah, that's one way of doing. So basically what I've done here is I've assigned lightning target parent. I've got some examples here, and like I said, I'll run through some of these in separate videos because it's all a little bit too much. This is mainly just to give you an idea on how to install it and how to operate it. But you could, for instance, the lightning target parent I've got here, I've got a script hanging on this. So this will spawn a target. This will spawn a game object at the end of where the strike hits. So at the moment I've just added some fireworks. But you could, yeah, you could do anything. You could do explosions at the point where the lightning strikes, basically. And you can also set the number of lightning forks and the lightning sub forks at runtime as well if you want. I've got something going on here. Let's have a quick look what this is. Okay, that's fine. I'll sort that before I issue the update. So yeah, that works quite good. I've tested it extensively. The other thing as well is might be good to give you a quick idea of what I changed with regards to the weather zones. And I've got a weather zone here. There she is. Now I'm not sure, but probably I've already set up the camera in front of it. So basically what we've got here in the weather zone, in the area here, we've got obviously the player collider. This will catch when the actual player enters the zone. And then we've, in this case, I've assigned the heavy snow VFX, this weather preset in here. And basically what this gives me is the option to add particles to that effect. In the past, basically what it done is it dragged the same particle effects which I had assigned here. But I thought it's actually nicer if you can control yourself what happens in the weather zone. So at the moment, if we would enter the zone, we would create these particles, and that would be a heavy snow. All these, by the way, I've created quite a few presets on these as well, so it's always good to use the presets. As you can see, zone presets, and I've got normal gameplay presets here as well. Where was I? Yeah, weather zone, and you can, for instance, add a lightning as well. You can add a nested lightning list. Now, basically, what you see here is, if I would add another element here, and for instance, I would add heavy rain, we can see there's another box coming up here. Now, the best way to add the particle effect is this way, otherwise we are actually creating shallow copies. So that's not what we want. We want separate ones. So for instance, on this one I've got a heavy rain, and I can use the for instance VFX, or I can just load a preset, and then we've got that loaded already in there. And then you can actually assign a sound clip to that as well. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the weather presets itself, because I made quite a few changes on that. But yeah, that's it, and maybe to just show you that in action. what I'll do is I'll play the game. So yeah, that works quite good as well. And then we've got the update interval as well. So we've got two effects assigned here, and they will change every 30 seconds. They will cycle. Obviously, you can add as many as you want there. And by checking this box, it actually will cycle through this. So for instance, element 0 has got these particles attached, and element 1 has got these particles. I need to have a look at making a drawer to make everything a little bit more visible, but yeah, it works. It works pretty good. And yeah, also the option to assign real-time weather, so you can put the lat and longitude if you've got an API key, and then you get the weather actually on the location where where you actually uh, yeah, set a location to. I think that is in broad terms, that is the way I'll leave this video for now. It shows you how to install it, it shows you how to use it, and what I'll do is now is I'm going to concentrate on smaller videos, for instance the presets. I'll do on the weather zones again to touch on the differences compared to the previous versions, and yeah, I'll do a separate one on the terrain as well. I've done quite a few bits on the terrain. I put tessellation in there. You've got the displacement on the terrain. You can apply the displacement, so the actual it's set the terrain height, so you've got the colliders updating, so your terrain properly adapts to it. I've got uh, I've got tracks. We can leave tracks in the terrain, and you can use mass colliders as well. You can put mass colliders above certain objects if you don't want precipitation to fall on them, and obviously it'll stop it. I've also made another script, terrain paint. Again, I'll tackle that in a separate video, but it would enable you to paint collider masks or cloud cloud masks for where precipitation would be visible on the terrain. Not sure how many people are actually using this terrain shader. It's still very much a continuing experimental work in progress, but for my for my for my own it suits my own needs. So yeah, okay, like I said, any questions, you can contact me on Discord, or just leave a comment in the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching all. Cheers.